Graham Frankel, your book, Ping.
Yeah.
Why do you love table tennis?
Well, it's a long story. I've been playing table tennis since I was 9, and I've been involved in the sport all that time, really. So I played in London and then at university, and then after that, playing around wherever I was working, I was always playing table tennis.
Who inspired you to pick up a bat at the age of 9?
Well, you need to read Ping, but it was it was a beautiful Italian girl.
as they do.
Yeah, it was a beautiful Italian girl who was staying in our house, she tried to get me to learn how to smoke, and also bought me a table tennis set. And fortunately, the table tennis set worked out better than the smoking.
And if we'll go all the way forward now. We're here in 2020, but you're a key member of BATTS here at the Norman Booth Centre. You must be very proud of what BATTS is and what BATTS has achieved.
Yeah, BATTS is a very good club. We have a large membership of all ages and all standards. So it's a kind of club. It's a community club, but it's also a highly competitive club where we compete in the top level of the Senior British League and the Premier Division. So we've got people at all standards, it's a nice club, which is it's not just table tennis. I mean, there's other things go on there as well. About 60% of what we do is table tennis in this place.
Hiking back to the core of the book, and people have to read the book, so you can tell us what you want or not. But when did you get a feeling that you might be quite good at this?
At writing books or
at table tennis?
At table tennis, I suppose in my teens. I mean, I was desperate to play and couldn't really get many opportunities to play, and I never had any proper coaching. But once I started playing competitively, I could see that I had something. It was going quite well by comparison with all the other sports, which I was completely useless at everything. And table tennis was something I could do. I managed to beat my friends, and so I wanted to carry on playing.
What is the hardest thing about playing table tennis?
It's the reactions, I suppose. It's trying to anticipate where the next shot is coming from. I think there are techniques to learn how to do it, but if you don't spot if you can't keep an eye on what your opponent's doing, then you're lost.
Was when you were 9 into your teens, was a particular player that you put up there on the pedestal that was your hero?
Yeah, I suppose. The last person who was our world champion was Johnny Leach, and he won the world championship twice. And
what period was that?
In the early 50s, late 40s, early 50s. And I was lucky enough to meet him. Really, it was just a chance. But also, I was at school with his son, so his son was part of my first ever table tennis team that I ran, and still in contact with his son, who now runs a pub in Saffron Walden. He's a good guy, but he was never that interested in table tennis.
And the actual running of BATTS, you produce a very in-depth newsletter on PDF, etc., for the club, etc. That almost must feel you're a busy club. You're travelling around the country for some competitions. It must feel like a full-time job.
Yeah, well, there's a lot involved. So the Premier Division of the Senior British League does involve huge travel for that team, and not the whole club doesn't travel with him, but with them. But I mean, there are teams up in Scotland, over in Ireland, and up in the north of England, and so there's a lot of travel involved in that. And our juniors, we encourage them to travel around to competitions as well.
There's a sort of 10,000 hours of practice theory, isn't there? Is that applicable to table tennis? Could somebody come here, and how good would they get if they did their 10,000 hours?
It's going out of fashion a bit at the moment, the 10,000 hours. But I mean, there's something in it that, but it's not just the time. It's the strange combination of motivation, wanting to do it, wanting to get better, being able to compete, wanting to compete. And that's how you become a champion. You've got to be very single-minded, and that applies to any sport, not just table tennis.
But what motivated you to actually write the book?
To write the book, well, it's a long story. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it for many years before I wrote it, actually. and I wanted to try and describe what's happened to English table tennis since those days when we were producing world champions, because we haven't produced any world champions since that time. And really, the sport's gone very much downhill. The standing of England, as opposed to other countries, has gone down compared with Europe. And I wanted to trace the reasons for why that happened. That's what motivated me.
Because people of a certain age, 58, would remember BBC, Saturday afternoon's grandstand, seeing people like Chester Barnes, then on to Desmond Douglas. I didn't know if they were any good or not, but they were certainly public figures.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's happened is that table tennis has completely fallen out of the national media. Completely. I mean, it was a long time ago. It was lost by national television, national newspapers. There hasn't been anything about table tennis in national newspapers for years, I suppose, apart from the odd thing that might have happened. But it's really gone out of media. It's lost media attention, which is very sad. And that's one of the reasons, again, why I wrote the book, because it did happen, and I wanted to know why.
But back down here to Harlow, do you have many Harlow players here at BATTS?
A lot, yeah. Most of our players are based in Harlow. I mean, we use the local schools, particularly Harleybury and Forbert Barnard. I mean, they have after school clubs, and Harleybury send in a class during term time for an hour in the middle of the day. Once a week they come in, and they love doing that. So we have a good relationship with the staff there at Harleybury.
It's good to see cricket is still thriving, because I think somebody's just, you had a look on your face, I think somebody's just taken a wicket. So
I thought it was someone being murdered.
No. That's a spin we might put on the story.
Yeah.
You published a book. Have you had any feedback so far?
Yeah, the feedback is good. People have liked it. So there's a website you can find if you Google Ping and my name, you'd soon get to the website, and there's a page on there with readers' comments, and I'm really happy with what they've said so far. It's early days. It's only been out a month, but yes, it's been doing okay, and it went into the Amazon bestsellers in racket sports, and it's still there actually. I'm surprised it's still there after a month.
And finally, it is August, first day of August in 2020. You must be desperate to try and get back to whatever normal can be, to be competing and practicing and playing table tennis.
We are. We've been back a week, so we're now being allowed, thanks to the new Boris rules, we've been allowed to open on a limited basis, where everyone has to be a member, everyone has to book a place on the table to get in, otherwise we can't let them in. But it's working, and that we've done that for a week and it's gone well. But we're not back into competing yet. I mean, competitions is another step, and we need to make sure that we don't we don't have any backlash of spikes and things from the virus before we start having table tennis competitions again.